Okay, so today we're going to begin the nitty gritty of the of Ben Sora Mora. Just to reiterate the psukim, if I can find it. Let me get rid of this. You don't need this.
Text is going too quickly.
Do you see psukim in front of you? Kiyel ish. You see the pasuk? Good. So Kiyel ish Ben Sora Mora. Sora Rashi teaches Samin Aderech Umora. He doesn't listen. And then Shemea b'kol aviv b'kol imoy, b'yisrosa they warn him. We'll see what that means. La yishma aleim seems to be redundant. The tafsu by aviv imoy, b'haitziyah yisrael ziknei iroy. They bring him out to the gates of the city. Vel shar makomo, shar's lashon of Sanhedrin. B'yamru el ziknei iro b'neinu zeh soro more. And then Shemea b'kol leinu zolel v'sovei. Now zolel v'sovei, the Rambam teaches, guys. The Rambam in Hilchas Mamrim, Hilchas Mamrim in Perek Zayin Halacha Aleph, he says Zoylel is Achel Basa B'Ravsanus. He eats meat with glutton, and V'Soivei Shasa Yayin B'Ravsanus, and he drinks wine with gluttonous. So Zoylel is going on the meat, and Sove is going on the wine. And again, you know the words, but you don't know the translations of the words. The Rambam again in Hilchas Mamrim, Perek Zayin Halacha Aleph, he teaches Zoylel Eichel Basa B'Ravsanusai and B'Ravsanus and Soiva Shasa Yayin B'Ravsanus. Or Gamu on Klan Shiro, you get what? Ba'avonim, Skila of a mace, Ubiato Rome Kebecha, B'Kol Yisrael Yishma V'Yoro. So very, very, again, very difficult Indian, we're going to get into the nitty gritty of it. And exactly, you're going to see as we go on, the ability to get a Ben Sora Mora is very, very difficult. Almost impossible. And it never was. Anyway, says the Mishnah on Ayin. Me'emasai chayiv, at which point in time are you chayiv? Me'emasai chayiv, mishiyachil tartimun basar. When he eats a tartimun of basar, you're probably wondering what a tartimun is. Rashi tells you, the Gemara will explain. V'yishta chatzi loig yayin hatalki, and he drinks half a loig to give you an idea, guys. Revius is a quarter of a loig. A revius is a quarter of a loig. So chatzi loig will be double that. What? Of yayin ha'atalki doesn't mean he does it once. Doesn't mean he does it once. Okay, now what's the key to all of this, fellas? You look at Rashi. Yayin ha'atalki toiv uma'ula. It's excellent. Who? Umamshich basrei. That's the key word. Mamshich lashon meshicha. That'll be drawn after it. In other words, we're worried about him being an addict, and it's going to go ahead and draw him. Avol bechamra acharina, another wine that's not Italian wine, ain't a chayiv b'chatzi loig. If we have chatzi loig of Israeli wine, chatzi loig of Spanish wine, chatzi loig of French wine, he would not be what? He would not be a Ben Sora Mora. So again, it's not the quantity that he's drinking, it's the quality of what he's drinking, which would cause him to go ahead and be mamshich. That's the key. Rabbi Yossi doubles down. Says Rabbi Yossi, mana basar v'loig shemen. A mana of basar and a full loig of shemen. So the Tanakhama says chatzi loig. I said shemen, wine, right? So and like why did I say loig shemen? Can anyone go and guess why I said loig shemen? Because it's too much to drink. That's not a bad line. Dove, that's not a bad line. That's very funny, very, very witty. Don't put it in the blog, but it was a very funny line. But it's like Shemen Shal Mitzayra, guys. That's why I always I associate with the Mitzayra being so like Shemen, and I had it today in Yuma. Okay, anyway. So like Yayin. So he doubles down on the wine, and as a result, we'll see what the basar. Achol b'chaburos mitzvah. If he eats and drinks this amount in a chaburos mitzvah, in a sudas mitzvah, right? And even if he stole it, right, and he eats it, nonetheless, what? He will not be a Ben Sora Mora. Achal be'ibra chaydesh. If he eats it by a suda of ibra chaydesh, when Rosh Chodesh would be automatic, when they would be ma'aber the month, meaning the 31st day is Rosh Chodesh, right? As when they were ma'aber because it was a full day, it was a month. 30 is a full month. Then they would make an ibr, and they would go ahead to publicize it. They would have a suda, and this guy goes ahead and he eats meat and drinks wine at this amount. He will not be a Ben Sora Mora. Achal Ma'aser Sheni B'Yushalayim. If he eats Ma'aser Sheni B'Yushalayim, again, he's eating the quantity that he would be a Ben Sora Mora. Achal Nevelos Utreifai Shkotzim Ramashim. If he eats Nevela, an animal that's kosher that didn't have a shchita. Treifa is an animal that had a shchita, but it's a treifa. Shkotzim, guys, we'll see, is in fact is an oif tameh. We're going to see that shkotzim, in fact, guys, is an oif tameh. It's a non-kosher bird. That's what shkotzim is, and ramashim is it's like krichadik zachen. Krichadik zachen. You know, it's krich, right? Kenny, it's krich.
Kenny. It's a Philly word, you know.
Right. It's a creepy crawler. It's a creepy crawler. Shkotzim hainu oifus tameir. Shkotzim, good. Okay. Skip the next words. Achol davar shehu mitzvah. If he eats something that's a mitzvah, we're going to see even midrabanan. The davar shehu aveira or something that's aveira. All of these cases you cannot be a ben sora mora. Achol kol maichel v'lo achol basa. He eats. Well, he's a glutton. You see, mommy's he's pounding the tofu. He's pounding the tofu. He's pounding whatever, but he's not eating basa. Or shasha kol mashke. He's drinking any mashke. He's drinking tequila, like shasa yayin, and he's not drinking wine. Ein anasim ben sora mora. He won't be a ben sora mora. Ad sheyochel basa b'yishta yayin. Shnemar zolel v'soive. And again, it's geschmack the Rambam. Zolel basa b'rav nusa. And soive is yayin b'rav nusa.
What's the Mishnah repeats says achol davar shu mitzvah v'davar shu.
We'll see that with this Rabban. We'll see that. No, once by this. That was by a sudas mitzvah. Here he's eating the food itself is a mitzvah. The difference between the place and okay. The afa pishein raya ledavar. Even though I don't have a raya zol v'sav yisech ledavar shnemar. The pasuk says al tehei b'soive yayin b'zoil el basaloymei. Don't be among the people, the gluttons who drink wine and eat meat. Okay. Amrav Zera. Tatiman ze ene yidei. So you were in good company. You didn't know what a tatima of basar is. Ella mitoich shekafel Rabbi Yosi biyayin. Rabbi Yosi doubled down on the wine. The Tanakh Kama said chatzi. Rabbi Yosi said a full loig. Nimsa kaifel af basa. It must be that he's doubling in the basar as well. The nimsa tatima is chatzi mana. Right? If the Rabbi Yosi says a full mana, so it must be tatima is chatzi mana. The ratio is parallel that of wine, right? It would be double the amount. Amrav Chana bar Mailada, that's the name of his father. Amrav Chana bar Mailada, and I never saw it before. Amrav Huna, Ein Chayiv at Sheyikach Basa Bezoil, V'Yochel Yayin Bezol. He says it has to be that it's easily attainable. It's easily attainable. V'Yishta D'Chsiv Zoil V'Soive. Says Rashi, fellas, Yayin Bezoil, Avol B'Yoker, it's expensive. In other words, he won't steal. He won't be able to steal enough money to go ahead and indulge in his habit. In other words, it has to be two things: one that is flavorful enough to draw him, and two, accessible monetarily. But once it's either or, if it's not so good, then he won't be mamshich after it, or it's expensive. Then again, so you see. The window and of the Ben Sora Mor is very, very unique. So, and the word in Zoilel is a lashon of Zoil, guys. It's not smachta, right? The play on words is Zoil. Amrav Chana bar Mailada, Amrav Huna, ein chayiv at sheyochel basa chai, literally raw meat, v'yishta yayin chai, and raw wine. Ini is really so. V'harabba Rabbi Yosef Nami Travayu, ochel basa chai v'shasa yayin chai, ein anasim and Sora Mora, right? So Ravina, when it says yayin chai, it means mazig v'lei mazig. It means it's not the 3:1 ratio. It's like more raw, but it is diluted. Basa chai, basha v'lei basha. It's cooked but not cooked. Kibasa kiba, like basa that is seared. The ochli ganve, like you think Michael ben Drusai, right? Like the ganavim. Now this guy is a ganav. Basically, he's stealing from his parents to support his habit. So obviously the food, the way he eats the food is going to reflect that. He doesn't have time to sit down and cook and make a full barbecue and cook it. He's going to be very, very quick. What?
Why is the price point an issue if he's stealing it from his father anyway?
Because you can't steal enough. In other words, there's X amount. We're talking about the wine is very expensive. He won't be able to go ahead and steal enough to go ahead and fill that habit. You're thinking about a guy has X amount of money. You won't be able to indulge. You can think all you want. The guy doesn't have money to afford that. So we're not worried about being mamshech. We're not worried about being mamshech. So let's see Rashi over here. Amar Ravina Yain Chai Amar Rav Huna, when Rav Huna said raw wine undiluted meant mazik v'loy mazik. It was what? It was diluted but not totally. Lafuke hechad dinasim b'mayim harbi, where you put in a lot of water. Even though most people drink it with more water than wine, here he doesn't. It's scorched. It's seared with gacholim with charcoal. With the kavasa, he brings psukim. Okay, so again, can't be expensive wine. Can't be expensive wine. It has to be Italian wine. The amount is a machloikis. Like amount is machloikis, and it can't be fully cooked nor fully diluted. So again, missing any of these things, you will not have ben sorumora. Rabbi Rav Yosef Namit Shavayu achol basa maliach, salted meat. Again, they used to salt meat because they had no refrigeration. V'shasa yaim migisai, or grape juice. Yaim gas means when it's gas when it comes from the press and hasn't the time to ferment. So ein nasa ben sorumora. He won't become a ben sorumora. In those cases, he won't become right. Says Rashi, loy chashivi v'loy mamshech. He's not going to be drawn after it. Tanan Hasam, we learned regarding the Suda of Suda's Hamapsekes, Erev Tisha B'Av, Lo yoichel adam shnei tavshilin. You shouldn't eat two cooked foods. Lo yoichel basa, don't eat meat. Lo yishte yayin, and don't drink wine. Vitana aval oichelu basa maliach. You could eat basa maliach, salted meat, beef jerky. Vishoisa yayin, and you could drink wine. Migisa, you could eat grape juice. So grape juice and beef jerky, very salted meat, you could eat. This is by what? By Tisha B'Av. Basa maliach ad kama. What? Sudav seconds. Sudav seconds. Sudav seconds. Now, again, this we don't pass like this, right? Anyway, maliach ad kama. Maliach, and how much? Amar Rab Chanina bar Kahana calls man kuhu kishlomim. The whole time what? That it's like a shlomim. Rashi, shlei over loves man achila shlomim. It doesn't pass the time you can shlomim, which is shnei yomim v'layla echad, 2 days and a night. Adayim b'lachlusay, it's still what in its moisture. V'lei ikri maliach, and it's not called maliach yet. Mesamayach es aleiv, and it'll make a person happy. D'chsiv v'zavachta shlomim v'yachalta. So in other words, what is when it says that you could eat by Yesuda Hamafsekes, you could eat basa maliach? You know what it means? It means salted meat within what? After 22 days. After 2 days. But if it's within 2 days, then it still would be mesameach you. It still would have enough of its flavor. They wouldn't have that preservative taste. Okay? So that's what regarding Tisha B'Av. When it says you basa maliach, you could eat, that means it's after 2 days like a shlomim, right? That's what it means, after 2 days like a shlomim. V'yayim migisa yad kama, because manshu taisis, as long as what is fermenting. That okay now. V'tanya yayin taisis ein by mishum gilui. Yayin that's fermenting, there's no gilui. V'kama tisas leishleishim yayin, right? And how much is tisas? It's 3 days. Okay, so when linyan gilui, a snake is not going to go ahead and come, and when the wine's fermenting, the bubbles stare the snake. So 3 days. So in other words, after 3 days, you wouldn't. Within 3 days, you could drink wine, drink grape juice. After 3 days, not. Okay. So here we have, guys. So we have the zmanim by Tisha B'Av. Meat, salted meat after 2 days, and wine, grape juice within 3 days. But after 3 days, then it's showing wine. Okay, that's Linyan Tisha B'Av. Yeah, yes.
Wait, what does taisis mean?
Ferment. Okay, so now, hacha by ben soru mora mai. What's the din by ben soru mora? What's the din by ben soru mora? You said that ben soru mora could eat basa maliach, right? That you don't become ben soru mora. What's considered basa maliach, and what's considered yami gisai? Says the Gemara, Haslam mishum simchahu, kozman shehu kishlomim nami ispe simcha. It's long as it's in 2 days. There's a simcha to eating the wine, the meat. Hacha mishum imshuchehu, over here by the meat, by the ben soromora, is a different svara. It has nothing to do with simcha. What's the concern? Whether he's going to be drawn after it, or he's going to get addicted to it. But b'chol shehu loy mimshach, right? Any amount of salt will stop it from being moishach. It's very fascinating. In other words, ben soromora, the fianias naiti, there's 2 ways you can eat meat. 2 ways you can eat meat, either by salting it or by broiling it. That's the only 2 ways to get rid of the dam. L'chayra, a ben soromora would have to eat only broiled meat, or else you got a problem. He's going to be eating blood, right? He's going to be eating blood. Or also you could say not like that. You could say that maybe it's since dam shlei hifrish, the blood doesn't. If blood is only also when it comes out, as long as it's in, you're okay. Okay, I'm getting a little tangential. Okay, anyway, says the Gemara, v'yayin ad mem yayin, but yayin is what until 40 days. But before he won't become addicted. After 40 days, he'll become addicted. So in other words, the zmanim of ben soru morer are not at all like the zmanim of the Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is what after 2 days maliach. Him is maliach even kol shehu. Regarding wine, if it's only past 40 days, would it be a problem when it goes ahead and ferments to that point, as opposed to Tisha B'Av is 3 days. So it's very, very different. And the svar is different. One has to do with simcha, the other one has to do with their addiction, whether it's going to go ahead and draw the person. Okay, I think good. I'm Rav Chanan. Now we're going to just go off on a tangent on wine. For those people who like wine, here's a Gemara on wine. I'm Rav Chanan. Le nivri yayin ba'olam, ella l'nachim avelim. It was considered the reason why wine was created. The reason why wine was created is to go ahead and be menachem avelim. Is to go ahead and be menachem avelim, and u'lishalim schar l'rishoyim, and to give rishoyim schar in this world. In other words, in rishoyim, Hashem wants them to have hanon in this world to punish them in the next world. So the reason for wine is to go with the menachem avelim, to take the edge off, and also to pay back rishoyim. Shenemar tenu sheicha la'oived v'yayin l'mari nefesh. Okay, you give sheicha to the oived, and that's the rasha. V'yayin l'mari nefesh bira is the avel. Amr Yitzchak. When the pasuk says al teira yayin kiyas adaim, what does that mean? Al teira yayin. Don't go ahead and look at wine to be drawn after it. Shemadim pneim shel rishoyim b'olam hazeh, because it makes red the face of rishoyim in this world, meaning it's a good thing for them in this world. However, mal pneim l'olam haba, but in the next world they'll be white. In other words, so don't be drawn after wine because it's not necessarily a good thing. And again, if you drink too much of it. Rava Amar al teri yayin kis adam, because it reddens. Al teri yayin, to be drawn after it. Because in the end, it leads a person to drink. You'll die in multiple reasons. You could die either because you're ben soromor and be killed. You could die because it will kill you. You can die because you'll get into a fight. But because you get drunk in a bar, there are many reasons that people that the effects of wine can lead to some behavior that will cause a person's demise. Rav Kahana Rami. Rav Kahana went ahead and he asked the stira. Ksiv, pasuk in Yemia says, right? What do you say? The yayin yisamach levavenosh. We all know this. Yayin makes glad the heart of man. Good. Now yisamach, guys, can be pronounced as yishamach with a shin. Depends if you're lifak or not, right? Yisamach or yishamach. It depends how you go ahead and pronounce it. So it says ksiv. It says. I think I skipped the line. I'm sorry. Rav Kana Rami, Ksiv Tirosh, and it's written without the Vav, and so it's the Ksiv is Tirash, and the Kriya is Tirosh. Rash means poor, Rosh means head. So it means Zacha, if you're Zacha, Nasa Rosh, then you become a Chacham. Loy Zacha, and you calculate yourself, then Nasa Rosh, you become poor. Rav Rami, Ksiv, Yain Yisamach, right? Yisamach, right? Vikarinon, it's written Yishamach, and we go ahead and pronounce it Yisamach. So, Zacha, Misamchai, if you Zacha, it'll gladden you. Loi Zacha, Mishamamehu, it will destroy you. V'hainu Damarava, Chama Vrechani, Chamra, wine, Vrechani, and spices, Pakin, they made me want smart. This is one of the sources for Havdalah, guys. Why I use wine and spices for Havdalah. The Yaakov says it's because to assuage your neshama that's leaving, you see it has a positive effect on Rava, so it'll have a positive effect on us as well.
You know, Tirosh is a verb or not a verb, so two different ways to read it. But
I guess
Samach it's the same letter.
I think Shin is the real. I was thinking about that. I think Shin is the predominant letter. The way Shin, really Shin is the letter. The Sin is like, but the real letter is the Shin. Omer Rav Amram. Omer Rav Amram Bered Rav Shimon Bar Abba. Omer Rav Chanina. The pasuk says in Mishlei, Lemi oi, lemi avoy, lemi midonim, lemi siach. Lemi oi is like to woe. Lemi avoy is another woe. Lemi midonim is to who is the fight. The people fight. Lemi siach is pain. Lemi pitzoyim chinam, who people get wounded for nothing. The person whose eyes are red, right? This is all the part of the pasuk. They delay for wine. That they go looking for expensive wine. So Kiyasir Avdimi Omar Amar Rava Haikra Mandadarish Leim Meresha the Seifa. If you want, you can read it from the Resha to the Seifa, or you can read it from the Seifa to the Resha. Let's go from the Resha to the Seifa, guys. Why does it say at the beginning? A person that what? A person who did these bad things happen to? Woe, avo, fighting, wounding. Who does that happen? For the person who looks after wine, right? That now. For the person who looks after wine, right? At the end of the pasuk, what does it lead to? You can read it, as a palindrome, right? It's like read it both ways. Okay. Darish Oiva Galilah. This person, his name was Oiva Galilah. He was Oiva the Galilean. Shloisha Esrei Vavin Nemru Biyayin. It says 13 vavs in the parsha of Noach. 13. It says the first one is Vayachal Noach Yishadama. The second one is Vayita Karim. He planted a karim. The third one is Vayesh Minayayin. He drank. The fourth one is Vayishka. He got shika. The fifth one is Vayiskal B'toich Allah. He was lying in his tent in a state of undress. The sixth one is Vayarcham Avi Kanan as Ervas Aviv. Kan saw the erva of his father. The seventh one is Vayagad L'shnei Echa B'chutz. He told his two brothers outside. The eighth one is Vayikach Shem V'yefes. The Vav V'yefes, guys, is not part of it's part of the name. V'yefes Es HaSimla. The ninth one is Vayasimu Al Shchem Shneim. They put him on their shoulders. The 10th one is Vayelchu Acharanis. They walk backwards. And the 11th one is Vayichases Ervas Aviyem. They covered up their father. The 12th one is Vayikatz Noach Miyenoi. Noach woke up from his lap. And the Shlishi is Vayedes Sha'asalei Ben Katan. He knew what his youngest son did to him. Okay? So those are the 13. So, Nechlu Rav Shmuel. What exactly did Chum do to his father? What did he do to his father? So Amar, one says Sirsai, he castrated him. V'chad Amar Revoyu, he did a Maisos Nus to him. He did a Maisos Nus to Noach. Manda Amar Sirso, the one that says he was Mesaris him. So Mitoich Kil Kaloi Beravi, Kilaloi Beravi. What was the klala he gave? What's the klala? To Canaan. Canaan, it was going to be what? Eved Lamai. So Shem, Chum, Yafes. Since he castrated him, he stopped from having his fourth son. So he went ahead, what? I'm trying to get this right. He went ahead and he cursed the fourth son. The fourth son of Chum is Mitzrayim, foot Canaan. There's one more. Who's the first one? Rashi brings it. I'll look at a second. Kush, Mitzrayim, foot, and Canaan, right? So Canaan is the fourth son. Since he stopped him having from the fourth son, so he cursed what? He cursed his fourth son. So, however, Umanda Amar Revoi, but the one who says what? Revoi, right? Who says, where does he know that what? Where does he know that what he he, you know what, guys, I said the wrong shot. In other words, we know that he misaris because he cursed the fourth son. That's how we know. We know he's misaris because he cursed the fourth son. How do you know that he was Raiveya him? How do you know he didn't act as nus? It says Vayar Chum, and it says Vayar Chum Avi Kananes Erbas Aviv Uksiv. It says Vayar Oisa Shchem Ben Chamar, and we know Shchem did a Maisas Nus to Dina. So Vayar Gezev Sakasiv, just like Shchem did a Maisas Nus, so to what Chum did a Maisas Nus. Now we can understand. Here's the kasha. Bishlam in Madiyam Sarsu Mishum Hachi Kiloloi. Bishlam in Madiyam said that what is Misarasim. We can understand why. Then it's Makalo Bravi, his fourth son. Elamanda Amar Ravoi Maishno Ravi. Why Dafka Latya Behadei? Right? Why you should go ahead, right? And why the fourth son? It says Mahavahav Havi. Look, right? He was both. In other words, the one who says that while he was Ravei him, he also was Misarasim, and that's why he went ahead, right? And he cursed the fourth son. Okay, very interesting Maisa. So, you find the Maisas of drunkenness in the Torah. I mean, according to Adam Arishain, fellas, was the opinion that Eitz was a geffen we saw earlier, and that led to him getting drunk and eating from the Eitz. She got him drunk. We find Noach, you find Light, you find Shimshon, you find a lot of people that wine wasn't a good thing to, and therefore you see by a Nazir, there's according to one opinion that they were right. This according to one opinion, but they weren't drunk. They could have been a revius of wine. Even a kohen drinks a revius of wine. So there's a very very funny story. I'll share with you. It's mamish gavaldik maisa. There's a term shikavi light. Shikavi light. Drunk like Lot. Lot ended up being drunk, and he ended up fathering two children with his daughters, right? Aman and Moav. So the Welt says, why don't we say Shikavi Noach? Noach came before Lot. Right? So here's the Maisa. There was a Yid, Rav Abba Pasvala, I think his name was. Let me make sure I wrote it down. I got it. I always forget this name, but I think Abba Pasvala. He said, Adam God Lad Moed, the Mishnah Berurah brings him down. The Mishnah Chassidish guy. Abla Pasvala. He gave a psak that if you forget Melech HaKodesh and the night of Rosh Hashanah, you don't have to repeat it because it has then Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh don't repeat, right? By Ma'ariv. That's people disagree, but I'm just telling you that this is brought down. Abla Pasvala. So here's the Maisa. It seems there was a person who had daughters to marry off, and he wanted to raise money. So what does a person do? He comes around shul. He goes for hamlata. Hamlata is the sign that you know what, this guy is on the up and up. Okay. This person went to Abla Pasvala, and he gave an hamlata. So somebody told him, "How'd you do that? The guys are drunk. How could you go ahead and give him? He's a drunk." So he said, "Oh, okay." Anyway, what did the guy do? Went to the bar, got drunk, was lying in the street, and what's lying next to him? The hamlata. So someone picked up the hamlata, went to Rav Abba and said, "This is the guy you gave it to. The guy's drunk. He's lying in the street." Anyway, the guy wakes up from his drunkenness, and he looks around, doesn't have an hamlata. So what does he do? Goes back. He goes back, and Rav Abba is so happy. He said, "I'm so happy you answered the question I always had." He goes, "What did you do?" So he goes, "The Welt say, you don't say Shikavi light. Why don't you say Shikavi Noach?" So he goes, "Noach didn't have any daughters to marry off." Noach didn't have any daughters to marry off. They were all married. His sons were married. But you had daughters there. Now I understand. They say Shikavi light. Anyway, I said this over by my sister, Zazain Gesund, has 7 daughters. And she married them all off. And at the last one, I said this word over, and I turned to Sim. I said, "Sim, drink up." It's a Gavaldic Maisa. Because he does have no daughters. Okay, anyway. Four lines up. And he planted a vineyard. Amrav Kista, Amrav Ukva, Vimri Lo Amar Ukva, Amrav Zakai, Amalek Kodesh Baruch Hu Noach, Noyach, lehoyel chalalame miyadam rishon. You should have learned from Adam Rishon. Shlei gorim loy eliyayin. Right? What caused him to do ate from the Eitz Hadas? He drank wine. Kimanda Amma Oisa Ilan Shachal Mimenu Adam Rishon. Geffen Hoya. Like the Mandamu says that the Eitz Hadas was Geffen. Here's the big machlokes with the Eitz Hadas was, guys. Here's the source. Here's this one. One says Geffen. The Tanya, Reb Meir Omer. Reb Meir says, Oisa Ilan Shachal Adam Rishon Mimenu Geffen Hoya. The one that he ate from, it was a Geffen. She'en l'chadava, there's nothing. She'en l'chadava, she'mevi yalala la'adam, that brings yalala means like woe, wailing, la'adam, eliyayin. Rabbi Yehuda, so no, that course, you ate from the Eitz Hadas, nothing worse than that. Rabbi Yehuda, oimer chita haya, it was a chita tree, right? It was a chita tree. She'ena, right? She'ena tinok yedea likros abba v'ima, at she'yitom tam dagon. What gives you your brains is carbs. Carbs give you your brains. So Mamela, they ate a das. Das, you had to have das, right? So you had to eat chita. Nechem yoimer te'ena haya. It was a fig tree. She'abedava she'kilkaloi by niskanu. She'nemar v'yisbru alei se'ena. They went ahead and they made belts of what? Of fig belts to cover themselves up. There is another pshat that I saw, it's not put down here, that it was the esrog tree, guys. It was an esrog tree. That, where do you know it from? It says, Vatera isha ki toiv ha'etz l'maychel. The Gemara in Lulav HaGosel says, what, pre-Eitz Hadar, it says that you can taste the tam of the esrog and in the bark. So the only tree that you can taste the bark is the eitz. Vatera isha ki toiv ha'etz l'maychel, therefore it was an esrog. Now I was thinking that people say an apple, right? The apple, stating the apple, but there's a toisvis in Sukkah that says a tapuach. Esrog is a tapuach. That's where they get from. I think that's where they get it from. The esrog is a tapuach. Now, this idea of a chita, eating from a chita, is I found something very fascinating. I'll share it with you, guys. I sent it out. Here it is on the big board. You see it over here, Rabbi Yehuda? What do you see over here, Rabbi Yehuda? You see the small Rashi letters.
He had to be drunk to eat, but he ate or drank. He was already eating before he got. In other words,
no, the way she was able to convince him, she got him to drink beforehand.
Right, so I'm saying, but that she got him to drink beforehand, but so it was already over on.
Not necessarily did he drink from the Eitz Hadas. In other words, he could have drank from other wine and then he ate from the Eitz Hadas. Right. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Chita Haya, V'afagav the Eitz Hadas Ksiv B'Reishis Rabba Parachla Umeshani. In other words, Eitz Hadas, how can you call it about a Chita? A Chita is not an Eitz. Umeshani mitmuras hayu ka'arzi alvanayin. It was like what? Like it was tall like a cedar tree. But Tzarech Leimar, the lav Chita mamish. You can't say it was mamish Chita. Haya im kain ma Chitoiva Eitz L'Maichel. The Kamar v'lechita mamish ein aruya lachila ela pas chitin haya. Right. In other words, chita is unprocessed food. So how can you say that Chitoiva Eitz L'Maichel? Toiva Eitz means you could eat it now, but you can't eat what? You can't eat chitim ela pas chitim haya. But you know what it was, guys? It was paschitin. You had a sourdough growing out of the ground. Paschitin haya. Shaisa aretz maitzia uz gluskois cakes. Kemaisha yiyat losid. In other words, you had your cinnamon Danish, warm cinnamon Danish coming out of the ground. There it was. You could eat it. Donuts. V'chein isa b'reishis Rabba. Is Palgan Rebbe. Nechemia Rabbanan. There was machloikas in Reb Nechemia and the Rabbanan. Reb Nechemia oima, guys, what bracha do you make on bread? Moitzi lechem min haaretz. You make a bracha moitzi, who brought bread out of the ground. Shekvar hoitzi lechem min haaretz, because he already had brought bread out of the ground previously. Rabbanan amri ham moitzi lechem min haaretz, who will bring bread out of the ground. Shu asid lahoitzi cham min haaretz. You're going to bring it hot from the ground. Shnemar yehi pisas bar ba'aretz. Pirish. Lefishi yastoy loymar benusach birchas hamaitzi lechem min haaretz. V'leitikru loymar hamaitzi tfua. It doesn't say hamaitzi tfua. You're going to take out crops, a dagan or grain min haaretz. The lechem loy mikri at achar afia. Lechem is only, guys, called after you go ahead and eat it. I said, I'm sorry. After you bake it. The Ein Aretz might see a lechem, and they can't bring out a process. El tfua, they can only bring out the unripened grain, ripened grain. El fishe koidim shechata adam hoisam moitzia gluskois. Before he sinned, Itaka brought out processed food. V'chein la'asid toitzi gluskois. In the future, will lakach kisha adam roya ba'olam hazeh dugma liyitzir rishayna. When a person finds in this world something that can go back to the original creation, oyach reina chayav askira. You chayav to mention it. Ki da'ashkin bebirchas nesuin sheyastu loima. Guys, listen to this. Asher yatzar esa adam betzalmoi v'hiskin lanu mimena binyan adei ad. What are you going back to, guys? You're going back to Chava, who was a boina from what? From Adam. Afagav the hashte in isha nevres min ish. Even though women are now created from man, maskirin ala dugmosh shvach yitzira. We mention on the dugma the shvach of the yitzira rishayna shaisa yaisa gedayla. Therefore, you're going back and making the bracha of that she came from Adam. Binyan adayad. A beautiful idea. The Sfile Reb Nechemia, the Yesh Laimar, Maitzi Lechem, Lahaske Shvach Yitzir Rishainam. Say Maitzi Lechem, the one who had brought out. To go ahead and remember when Hashem brought into the world, he brought in lechem from the ground. The Maitzi L'Shava Mashma. The word Maitzi is Mashma past. For Rabban and Savri, the Yesh Lamar, Ha Maitzi Lechem, Lahaske Shvach Yitzir Achroina, to mention what will be. The Ha Maitzi Lechem La'asid Mashma. It's Mashma in the future. Ubaha kamifkli. Where's the machlokes? The masava l'sha'ava haisa maitzia gluskois, and therefore Reb Nechemia says you say maitzi, b'layla asid, but not in the future. Umasava ibcha, and one the chachavim say the opposite. They say that it's only in the future, but not in the past. I thought it was a very nice piece. Person start in the bracha, you say maitzi lechem. No, it's taki. You say it your whole life. Think a second. He doesn't bring out lechem. He brings out dogon. He brings out tfua, right? He brings that tfua. So you bring Meshabeach lechem, either the lechem that he brought up b'shas ma'aser bereishis, or the future ham moitzi lechem that he will bring out in the future. And that seems to be machlokes tanoi. Very fascinating Toras Chaim. Okay. We're going to meet someone named Lemuel, guys. Lemuel is Shlomo HaMelech. So in Mishlei it says in Perek Lamed Aleph, Divrei Lemuel Melech Masa Asher Yisratu Imoi. So what does that mean? These are the words to Muel, the Melech of Masa, Asher Yisarta Imoi. His mother gave him Musa. Right? His mother gave him Musa. Pasha Teichacha. Okay. Rabbi Yochanan Mishum B'Shum Bar Yochai. Melamed, we see from here that what happened, that Melamed, you see over here that what? Kaftoi imoy ala amid. His mother Mamish took Shlomo and tied him up to the pillar. And she said to Shlomo, Ma bari, Umar bar bitni, Umar bar nidarai. Mar bari, what is Ma bari? Hakol yoidim she'avicha Yerushalayim hu have. Everyone knows your father David was Yerushalayim. Achshav, now he was indulging in too much wine. That's why this is brought over here. He was indulging wine in too much wine. Okay? So if you look at Rashi, guys, parallel to this Gemara, why is she giving him Musa? Not that he was drunk, chas v'shalom, but Shlomo was having too much enough in this world. Shlomo HaMelech was having too much enough in this world. And guys, think about it. Shlomo HaMelech was the epitome of Jewish history. That was the highest point, right? We wish. David had taken care of all the enemies. Shlomo built the Beis HaMikdash. I mean, everything. This was the time. Before anything, this was really the time. And he was having Anah. He was Marba B'Suda. He was having, and his mother now is coming to go ahead and give him Musa. What's the Musa? Ma Bari. Everyone knows that your father's Yerushalayim. Yomru, what will they say? Imay Gar Malay. What caused him to be like this? It must be what? It must be the mother. So that's Mar Bari. Umar Bar Bitni. What do you mean the son of my womb? Kol Anoshim shall base Avicha. All the women of your father's house, Kiva Shemis Abrais, once they got pregnant, Shuvein Aroyas Prei Melech. They never went to live with the king again, as long as they were pregnant. When I was pregnant, I forced my way in. Kadei li ben mizuras and malubin. The Gemara says that in Nida that it's very good for tashmish when the woman is pregnant. And I was pregnant. I went in to what it makes to me. Why? It's good for the child, makes the child healthy and well. And I did it for you. So my bar bitni is lashon habeten. My bar nidarai kol nashim shal beis avicha hayinoidreis. They all made nidarim. Why would they say li ben hagen lamalchus? I should have what, a son that's right lamalchus, right? And they would say, I guess they would say such and such. I'll neder make such and such. Vanina dati v'mati yeli ben zariz. He should be a zariz umemula b'tayra. I didn't say anything about malchus. V'hagel l'nevius, and he should be what, hagen for nevius. Good. So that's when it says divrei lemuel melech masasha, and this is the musa that she was giving him. Alim alachim lemuel. Right? Don't turn l'malachim lemuel. Alim alachim shasu yayin. Don't drink wine like them. Alim alachim alim alachim lemuel. Alim alachim shasu yayin. Alim alachim amrulay malacha etzam alachim. Why are you going to the malachim sheshosu yayin u'mishtakrim? Why? The omrim lama lanu. And why? What lama lanu? The netrikin of lemuel is lemuel lama lanu. Al uloisnim ain't shecha. To the rule is there's no shecha. Me shekol raze oilam galuyim loy. You who all the secrets of the world are revealed to. Yishte yayin v'shtaker. You should go ahead and it's beneath you. You should be like. So Raznayim is usually the Taich ruler, but the play on words is Raz, lashon of that. He was the smartest man in the world. In the Chacham, he understood everything. So all the secrets of the world revealed to. Ikadi Amri, Misha Kol Reisnei Oilam Mashkimim Lepischoi. All the people go up to ask from him. Yishte Yayin, people come to you, ask everything. You should drink wine, be a shtaker. I'm Rabbi Yitzchak, Menayim Shechas Shloimeh V'Hoyda in May, Hadin Shloimeh did tshuva, and he listened to his mother. Dechsiv, he says, Ki Ba'ar Anoichi Meish Leibinas Adam Li. Ki Ba'ar, I was foolish. Ki Ba'ar Anoichi Meish Mei Noach. I was foolish like Noach. Dechsiv Vayachal Noach Ish Adama. V'loy binas Adam Li ze Adam Arishan. I didn't learn from Adam Arishan. So you see that he was he had charata. Okay, back to the barn, right? So we said that Achol b'chaburas mitzvah. You're not ben sorah morer. Amra bavo ein chayiv at sheyochel b'chabura shekula srikin. You only ben sorah morer. You drink with a bunch of lowlifes. You hear this? Everyone's got to be a sorika. Rashi says, "What is srikin?" Take a look. Rashi. Ochal Shekula Srikin, Rakim, empty people. Sheyargiluhu Bikach, that they're accustomed to do this. Adam Hagun, if you have even one person that is a proper guy, Bechiyai Gavna, Leimamshech, he's not going to go in and be joined after them. In other words, it's peer pressure, guys. An addict sticks with the addicts, right? Once you have a guy who's normal, he has ashpa. Anyway, so when he eats the chabura, we said that what mitzvahs? Amra bavo ein chayiv at sheyochel b'chaburas shekul srikin. Fregdimar v'nan tanan ochel b'chaburas mitzvah ein nasa ben soru mora. Time of the mitzvah, halav mitzvah alfagav the lav kulas srikin. Again, it's mashma. The whole reason that you're not ben soru mora is because the suda was a sudas mitzvah. If it was not a sudas mitzvah, even if they're called srikin, then you would become ben soru mora. That's more hakamashlam. The afagav the kulas srikin, even the mitzvah ka'asik le'mamshach. You guys, even if they're all sarikin, if it's a mitzvah, you're not going to be mamshech. So in other words, the only time you could be a ben soru mora is if they're all sarikin, one, and two, it's not a sudas mitzvah. If it's a sudas mitzvah, even if they're all sarikin, then you won't become ben soru mora. Achol ibra chaydesh l'meimra. So it's mashma. He went up and he ate this suda by the ibra chaydesh. This is the publicized that they made the Rosh Chodesh the last month of Amalei. Remember the basa v'yayin masiko that they would bring up they would go to an addict. He brought up to the addict basa v'yayin because you have to tell me that he doesn't become ben soru mora if he eats basa v'yayin. But Tanya ein oilin la ella pas dagan v'kitnius b'vad. It was a part of a kiddush. They had pas dagan and kidnius. Mashma didn't have any basa v'yayin. So hakamashlan. Afagav dein oilin la ella pas v'kitnius v'iu asik basa v'yayin. Oh, you hear this? A bigger chiddush. They taka eating parv. He brings up the bus of the yayin. For achal, kima the mitzvah kosik like mamshech. Since it's a mitzvah, it's not going to be mamshech. Go after that. So even though he's drinking taka bus of the yayin, not tanrabanan. Ein oilim beibra chaydish pachas me'asar b'nei adam. So derech agav that this little suda you need 10 people for publicity. Ein oilim la'ela pasdogan v'kidnius. Ein oilim la'ela la'ori buroi. You have to go up at night, La'ori Buroi, the night of the 30th, not the 30th by night, guys. You don't go up during the day, Ela Balayla. You go up during the day. So which is it, day or night? Kidam Rav Kia Baraba, Lebaneha. Achrifu for Oila, Achrifu Poigi, get up early and go up, and get up early and go down. People should hear about it. In other words, when it says over here they went up in the day and not at night, it's speaking about they went up during the day so people see them going up, and they went up before it became morning. They went up, they came down. People should. Why is that happening? Publicize. He does not become mad ben sormora. Since it's the orch, you're taking your money in Ma'aseh you're spending it on food. That's normal, guys. In other words, that's the norm. You take your money and you have to spend it on food. So therefore, if you spend it on basar and yayin, leimamshech. Okay, again, to understand this, guys, you need the key word over here is the Rashi that says count from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines up. Stam shkotzim, hainu oifis tameyim. Dichsiv behem sheketz Ramashim, heim shrotzim. They are the creepy crawlers. But haimashim they nenu shameya b'kalenu. Okay, we'll see in a second. Okay, so anyway, achal nevelas treifish shkotzim ramashim. Amar Rava. Achal basar oif, ein anasib ben sorumora. If you eat basar oif, meaning eat chicken, guy can eat as much chicken as he wants. He's not going to come ben sorumora. Ivan antanan achos nevelos utreifish shkotzim ramashim ein anasib ben sorumora. The reason why he doesn't come and say mora because he's eating treifa birds. That's shkotzim. Hatahorim nasim ben sorumora. And for Gemara kitan nam maslisun lahashlam. What does it mean? It means lahashlam. Guys, here's what it means. The guy ate. He ate wine, and he was a quart short. He ate wine. He ate meat, but he was a little bit short of the amount. So if he went ahead and ate chicken, that would put him over the top. He'd be a ben soromora. If he ate ostrich, then it wouldn't. In other words, lahashna means that's nafkamina. The diak is achal shkotz asham. You're going to treif a bird, even if treif birds he mash them not, but a kosher bird ain't nachanami. It would be. Achol davashu mitzvah v'dvar mitzvah. Now, what's the var mitzvah? Is tanchumi avelim. There's the Rabbi, right? Eating the suda of the food of the avelim. Davar dvar aveir is tainus tzibur. He eats by a tainus tzibur. The time of my all these things amakra and then ushameya b'koilenu v'loy b'kol shel makom. Guys, this is the reason for shkatzim ramashim also. Guys, this is the reason for shkatzim ramashim. The pasuk said he doesn't listen to our voice. This guy is not listening to Hashem's voice, right? So therefore, he doesn't become ben soromora by eating things or even the rabbanans. The kiddush over here, snichem avenu is the rabbanon, right? These are tiniest. It can be even the rabbanon, tiniest tzibur, not the raisa. Achul kol ma'achal v'layachul basa shasa kol mashkal v'shasa yayin ein anasa ben soromora. Achul kol ma'achal v'layachul basa lasui. What does it come to include? The vele kilis. The vele kilis is what is like dates from this place kilis that has intoxicating. Like if a kohen would go ahead and eat this, he couldn't do the avodah, right? Because it's considered intoxicating. Shasa kol mashka shasa yayin lasui devash v'cholav. Seems like milk and honey has the capacity to intoxicate. So these cases you not become ben soromora. The Tanya achol dvele kilis v'shasa devash v'cholav v'nichlas nemigdash chayiv. You be chayiv what? I'll taste. I'll taste. Ein nasim ben soromora ad sheyochel basa v'yishti yayin. Okay, he only comes to soromora when he goes ahead and eats meat and drinks wine, right? Tanrabanan. Achol kol maichel, v'loyachol basa, eats any food but not basa. Shasa kol mashke v'loyshasa yayin. Ein nasim ben soromora ad sheyochel basa v'yishti yayin. Shnemar zoylol v'soyve. Zoylol is going in the basa, and soy is going to wine. The alpha pisha in raya ledavar, even though I don't have a raya, seich ledavar. Right? What does it say? Zoila, okay. Shenemar al tehi b'soive yoyin. So you have that soiva refers to yayin. B'zoilei basar and zoil refers to basar. So you have a remes to that. V'oimer, the pasuk condition says ki soive b'zoilel yoyresh. He's become yoyresh. He's become rush. If he goes ahead and indulges what in wine and meat. Ukroyim talbish numa, and his garments. His If someone sleeps too much, then his garments will rip. So in other words, all hanaz is going to end. He's going to end up, guys. Yivarish. He's going to end up poverty stricken. Okay. Another drasha that they make on this pasuk is that a person who sleeps in shul, right? Amr Rabbi call a yashim bebeis hamedrash. Teirasa nasis like kroyim. Of anyone who goes sleeps in the base medrash, his Torah will become ripped away from him. He won't remember it totally. A little bit at a time. Shenemar, it says, Ukroyim talbish numa. And numa is a person like Noam who sleeps. The person who sleeps, right, he'll be clothing kroyim and ripped. That's referring to his Torah. Noime miloshen nom, kloimai hatalmid nasa kroyim, liyoshen beis hamedrash. Yeah. Tomorrow night. Okay, I'm tomorrow.